each business that had been advertised was visited by two men representing a organization called TANE, that's the Texas Alcoholic Narcotics Education Incorporated. These men took pictures of the building, they took pictures of the people, they took pictures of people signing the petitions, and they visited just like a Gestapo fashion each business right after the other, with no apparent reason other than to intimidate these businesses and to make them take the petitions off their counter and to put them under the counter.
In addition to the regular lever-type machines and experimentation with a fleet of punch card devices, about 20 or 25 Tarrant County precincts will have to use paper ballots come the general election. County Clerk Ed Lofton asked court approval today to spend something over $1,000 getting paper ballots printed. That brought quick and pointed reactions from several commissioners, perhaps best summed up by Commissioner Dick Lewis, who said, "Ed, if you knew we were going to need these other 25 machines, you should have told us. We've just messed up here." Lofton blamed rising numbers of registered voters for the lack of sufficient machines. He said one lever machine will handle about 300 voters, a punch card setup about half that many. Jerry Taft, Channel 8 News on the Move, Fort Worth.
I think that our removal is to make the committee less controversial, more acceptable, and basically to remove an identification of the committee with what is said to be the plaintiff's side of the case. But I don't see our role as being inconsistent with our service in Dallas Legal Services Project.
Catherine, you've been known to be outspoken. Do you feel this is one of the reasons why you were taken off of the committee today?
Well, very definitely, June. I feel that that's the main reason, and in that I have not gone on with many things that the Dallas Independent School District has done in terms of school desegregation, and I never will. And the only thing that bothers me is that, you know, we are not getting the truth about why we have been removed from the committee.
At an afternoon news conference, Schrader admitted the city manager's office was an opportunity he had sought. He came to Dallas 6 years ago as an assistant city manager and previously served as the city manager in Mesquite. And now in Dallas, he's reached his goal.
I'm honored. It's a great compliment to be offered this opportunity in this great city. It's awesome because it carries with it the burden and the responsibility of justifying the decision that this city council has made.
But Schrader's current boss isn't through yet. McDonald says he'll stay on as city manager until the end of the year. McDonald has served with the city of Dallas for the past 30 years and now is nearing retirement age. He indicated his future plans are indefinite, but said he is considering a university position. Jack Hill, Channel 8 News on the Move.
We can't say they're the biggest flagpoles in the world, even if they are for the Texas State Fair, but as of today, they must be the newest. The two 80-foot steel poles were built by the Texas Flagpoles Company in Fort Worth and were placed in front of the electric building this morning. The electric building used to have two wooden flagpoles in front of it, but these new poles are among the largest in the state and can withstand winds of 150 miles an hour. Besides, they offered an opportunity for Miss Tall Texas, Lynn Garrett of Dallas, to run the Lone Star flag up the flagpole to commemorate the event. It was enough to remind everyone that the fair gets underway this coming Saturday, and if everything is going to be in shape for the annual crowds, they'd better hurry. The midway tents and booths are going up as usual, but work crews are still busy with redecorations and construction, especially in the area of the livestock pens and the electric building. In fact, the refurbishing of the electric building, which dates from the 1930s, should make it feel right at home with the 72 edition of the fair. The theme this year is the Dazzling 30s. Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Well, I think I better not answer that.
Well, are you glad to see him go, or you think you'd like to have him hang
I'm glad
around?
he's still with the organization. Let's say it that way. Don't that sound good?
Well, I think he's done a fine job this year, even though we've lost a lot of games. And I think it's his decision to make.
I'm glad he left. He's a good ball player, but he's a hell of a manager. That's personal.
Well, he's supposed to stay around as, maybe as a scout or something like this. You think that might help the ball club?
I don't think so, because he's got no personality. He spits on umpires and everything else years ago. I'm an old-time baseball fan.
So you know a lot about baseball?
Well, not everything, but I know quite a bit.
You know anything about managing baseball?
No, I won't manage it.
But you do feel like Williams did not do a good job?
Right.
Could you do any better?
Well, I try like hell.
Thank you.
The council voted unanimously to apply for the funds for a transportation system for the airport known as Sertran. The application with Dallas is for $2,274,000. There was some opposition to the move, though. Lloyd Stimson, a member of the Fort Worth Taxpayers Association, calls the plan a white elephant and a waste of money. He recalled that Fort Worth could not generate enough air traffic in the 50s and 60s to keep Greater Southwest Airport open. City Manager Roger Lyons said the economic blow dealt Fort Worth by the fact the city is not convenient to Love Field by ground transportation should not happen again. The council agreed. Sertran will serve both cities through buses, limousines, and taxicabs, 45 in all. Fort Worth will have to provide matching funds of $170,400. Jim Green, Channel 8 News on the Move in Fort Worth.
Yes, sir. I feel that it's the new ordinance that they have passed for adoption today is unconstitutional because it makes a complete play out of the word free enterprise. It totally eliminates it because all the preferential treatment is going to be given to the Dallas Transit Service.
Oh, this is a marathon trampoline bounce, and it's going to last for 24 days. Proceeds will be given to Wallace Village, which is a home in Colorado for retarded children.
And you're starting the bounce?
I'm starting the bounce.
Okay, while we talk about this, why don't you go ahead and get started?
All right.
How long do you think you can keep this up?
We're going to go for 24 days, and I'm going to do it for about an hour.
Who's going to be working in the middle of the night?
Everybody!
Can you do something a little more fancy than just bouncing up and down if I take the mic off your neck?
Might be able to.
Right.
The chairs on the front porch of the Prather home have rocked side by side for some 40 years, but Mr. and Mrs. Prather had been married almost that long before they bought them. Irene and Jack were just teenagers when they married on October the 2nd, 1895, in Waco, Texas. The journeyman paper hanger brought his bride to Dallas at the turn of the century, and they've been together ever since. Miss Prather, what did you think of Jack the first time you met him?
Oh, I just thought he's the dirtiest thing I ever looked at. He just come from a tin shop where he'd worked all day.
Well, you married him anyway. What made you decide to marry him?
Oh, he primed up after that and come the next night to see me. I thought he's good looking.
How old were you when you got married?
15.
My goodness. Well, what do you think of him now after 77 years of marriage?
I think he's a pretty good old fella.
Mr. Prather, what makes a couple be able to live together for 77 years? What is your secret?
Well, early in married life, we decided on live our married lives on a 50-50 basis. That means responsibilities divided on both sides and work together. Now, she would have the home to look out for. I'd have the outside. We never criticized each other for a mistake. If we made one, we would never throw it up and say, I told you so. We didn't do that.
Mrs. Prather still has her original wedding band, although it's now a bit too large. Several years ago, her husband offered to replace it with a diamond ring, but she said she'd just as soon stay with the one she got 77 years ago. For Channel 8 News and the Move, this is Judy Hanna.
The first alarms hit the Ennis Fire Department about 9:30 this morning, and the blaze quickly went to a general alarm fire. The south end of the large building was fully involved in flames, and units from Waxahachie, Corsicana, Ferris, and Sonoma were quickly called in to help contain the blazing cotton bales. Firemen were hampered in their efforts to put out the fire by the early collapse of the sprinkler system in the building and by the fact that the interiors of the cotton bales continued to smolder and burst into flames throughout the day. Ennis Fire Chief D.D. Day told me fire units would be on the scene at least through Thursday and probably would not be able to leave the area until sometime this weekend because of the sparks which continue to smolder deep inside the thousands of cotton bales remaining inside the warehouse.
Brent Stein says he's not on trial. The state marijuana law is. Stein and Dallas legal service attorneys plan to change. As state law stands now, Burns is charged with a felony and, if convicted, could get 2 years to life imprisonment. He wants possession reduced to a misdemeanor. Stein calls his case political, and he subpoenaed 18 witnesses, including 6 state legislators, to testify in favor of changing the law. However, prosecuting attorneys say Stein can't use his trial as a law debate forum because such testimony would be irrelevant and immaterial to the actual possession charge against him.
Speaking as one person, but if we go to the open meetings and speak up as a Democrat.
Just other comments that need to be made.
Outside the new wax world, it looks just like the rest of Fair Park. The old building even looks the same on the outside. But inside, I found I could go directly to almost any period of American history and see U.S. presidents, often with other wax figures, in a typical scene from their time. I caught Abe Lincoln sitting with children on his knees, probably caught in the act of one of his favorite pastimes, storytelling. More up to date is President Franklin Roosevelt, looking as though he were about to start one of his famous fireside chats. Lady Bird Johnson stands with LBJ in an obvious ranch scene. There will probably be a barbecue pit added later. Not all the figures are finished yet. There are plans for the dressing of Teddy Roosevelt, who blushingly sits with padded shoulders and his famous fierce mustache. Other characters are still in the process of being dressed, and they look so lifelike I sometimes couldn't tell the workers from the wax. The list of presidents will be totally up to date when the final figure is finished. That is to say, when President Richard Nixon's hair is combed and the head is placed on the body. Owners figure the entire exhibit will be finished in time for it to be open to the public sometime later this month. Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News, on the move.
Promulgate electronic warfare. Exactly what does that mean?
Judy, we have an exchange going on between the military and industry, as I said, where the best technical minds exchange their knowledges to protect our aircraft, to build the equipments which will degrade the enemy's radars.
It is very difficult. In fact, it's even worse than I thought it would be. But again, my arm is coming back in very good shape. I've been working out, so that's a big plus. Plus the team's winning, and I like to come out to practice, and the guys are happy. So, you know, it's a matter of, you know, getting back in shape, and everything is, you know, working out, you know, as far as my shoulder, real fine right now.
Roger, what kind of routine are you on now in terms of number of passes you throw each day?
The Association of Old Crows is convening at Dallas's Convention Center today. So read a routine memo from the Chamber of Commerce. You might think it's a gathering of distilled spirits, as I first thought, until I learned its purpose is the promulgation of electronic warfare. Top secret security clearance is necessary to attend the meetings that are held in rooms that cannot be bugged, and all NATO countries are represented. I talked with Old Crow's publicity chairman, Bill Corey, and asked him how the group got its name.
Judy, during World War II, when radar was first employed, the secret organization was organized to counter the radars. They were codenamed Ravens. Later on, their names became Old Crows.
The security clearance surrounding this convention sounds a little bit like y'all are planning World War III. Exactly what are you doing?
Judy, our purpose here is to come up together with the military, with the industry, and the best scientists in the country to be able to build our defenses, to protect our aircraft, to penetrate enemy defenses more effectively and get their weapons on their targets and get back.
The purpose of the Old Crows, I was assured, is not to promote war, but to save lives. For Channel 8 News on the Move, this is Judy Hanna.
An estimated 1,000 black businessmen are registered for this annual convention of the National Business League. The current administration has been criticized on 2 points. One for being pro-business, and another point being anti-black. Well, the National Business League is both. It is black business. At a news conference this morning, I asked the president of NBL, Mr. Berkeley Burrell, how this organization stands on the administration and its re-election efforts.
Well, the Business League, of course, has never endorsed a candidate for political office. So there won't be any such endorsements coming out of this convention as an organization. I'm certain that a number of our chapter presidents and a number of our chapter people who have been funded to promote minority business by this administration would certainly be in support of supporting this administration.
What about yourself, sir?
Are you asking if I support the administration? I do. I'm a lifelong Republican. I have been. If you promise not to ask me any questions, I'll share with you the fact that I'm co-chairman of the Finance Committee. Any other questions?
But of course, the order of business here this week is the black businessman, his survival, and his expansion. The League is expected to change its method of operating, but will continue to receive funding through the U.S. Department of Commerce. At the Fairmont Hotel in downtown Dallas, this is Jim Mitchell, Channel 8 News on the Move.
Total damage from this fire will run close to $750,000, but what really hurts is that the automatic weighing machinery was in this corner of the building where much of the fire damage occurred. That means no more weighing here at the Ennis Compress Company, and it could put several people out of work. Phil Reynolds, Channel 8 News on the Move in Ennis.
As we move to equitable school financing over the state. And this is what that is speaking to us, and this is what we're having to look at the state level, is how we are going to propose an improved school program and school financing that will help the teachers of the state, throughout the state, with maybe possibly a little bit of leverage upwards in the local level, but not much. We're looking very soon to the fact that more negotiation is going to be taking place at the state level.
Well, I think it might be fertilizers, insecticides, or something on the toxic type chemical.
How would that happen in a place like Highland Park?
Well, that's hard to determine at this time. We're just going to have to wait till we get our tests back from our biologist and our chemist.
Could this be runoff from people's yards that have been fertilized?
It's possible. It's possible. It sure is, but we can't pinpoint it at this time as that.
I've been throwing about 100 to 125, and I've just been increasing my distance and also trying to increase, the velocity of the football. Right now, I'm lobbing it more than just throwing real hard. So each day I can throw harder, and plus I'm on a running program and just overall conditioning program. But the arm is the big thing right now, and each day it's getting stronger. And along with the weights that I've started on, it's getting its strength back.
Still aiming for that Baltimore game, I guess.
Mentally, that's what I'm shooting for, which is 2 more weeks. But I think it'll be sometime during that week. Now I hope it's close enough to the game where I could be activated. But again, it's getting over that hump. It's easy to say, and I think the mental aspect is just as important as the physical. And but getting over that hump from just throwing pretty good to throwing very hard is the point where Coach Lander's got to make the decision as far as activating me.
It's hard for me to really assess the club right now. As you know, we have an awful lot of new fellows this year, and we'll probably have at least 12 or 13 new fellows on the team. So I'm having a good look at them at these exhibition games to see what they do. And through these games, we have 4 games this week here, and I think they'll really sort themselves out.
Do you have any outstanding prospects that you'd consider on the club right now?
Well, up in Chicago they do, but unfortunately our situation up there, whether that's going to allow any of them to come down, they're all playing very, very well up there, and we expect a couple back that I know of, as Lenny Frigg will be one of them to fill our 5th defensive spot. I think we're all right in goal with Michel Dumas, who's playing excellent up in Chicago, and he's played in a lot of the games up there, and they think very highly of him, and I've witnessed him play, and he's playing very, very well. So our position in goal on defense should be very adequate.
Well, Johnny, the game tonight was probably an indication of, if it's any indication of things to come, it should be a very interesting season for the people in Fort Worth and Dallas, don't you think?
I think so. It was a hard-hitting game tonight, and both teams showed that they can hit, and both teams showed that they can score, and there were a lot of penalties and a few fights, and it was pretty scrambly in spots. I thought that both clubs weren't playing their positions nearly as well as they will come opening day, but it was a good hockey game.
And I think it'd be a great occasion that if you lost a few pounds and ventured back on the ice yourself, Bob, and I think if you took this on, I might put on the pads and try to fill that center ice spot, and I think it'd be very interesting for both Dallas and Fort Worth.
You know, that might not be a bad situation. You and I have had words across the ice and at each other every once in a while, and the only trouble is I'm afraid that I might crush you to death or something.
Well, Bob, I think that looking at you, I think that you'd have to catch me first, and I run pretty good. I don't know how I can skate anymore.